One of the things I found is that going to the people on the margins is not a popular thing. And in many ways, and I think we see this in a lot of our political climate, that's not really where Christians feel they need to be. And a lot of our Christian leaders would do well to hang out in a homeless camp or to listen to a woman in prostitution talk about trying to get free, or a woman in abuse, or a man in abuse talk about stopping his behavior. I think we as leaders need to hear those stories because that's where Jesus needs to be. But I began to find out that, as exciting as that was, that's typically not a ministry that's rewarding or a ministry that people want to be about. One of the things that I found with Acts is it just kind of ends. For me, the whole scene of the boat just slowly, all of this material dedicated to this very short time as the boat comes into the dock and Paul's at Rome. And Paul ends up in a very small apartment with a Roman guard, and he's fixing food for people and telling the gospel. And I think for many, that's kind of a disappointing ending. We would like a third scroll because we want to know more. Did he create a bigger church? Did he have a mega church with flash pods and huge bright lights? And I think that's the story that American Christianity has to wrestle with, is that we sometimes feel that bigger is the best, and yet the story of this great spiritual giant ending in a small apartment, fixing food for a few people and talking about Jesus kind of becomes disappointing. But it reminds me of, so often in this ministry, I'm sitting in a homeless camp, or I'm sitting in an apartment with people, or I'm at a coffee shop with our weekly check-in study with someone that still feels possessed by demons and they're dealing with mental illness. And Lori and I both have come to realize that is the gospel. That the gospel isn't always flashy. That many times the gospel is just a few people in a small place sharing about God, eating together.